Apple's September events, the iPhones are almost always the star of the show. This year though, things were a little different with the release of the new Apple Watch Series 4. I've been using it since it came out, and here are some of my thoughts. The Series 4 starts at $399 for the aluminum case, $799 for stainless steel. They come in silver or stainless, space gray or space black stainless, and a new gold or the gold stainless. Same as the Series 3, you can choose between a GPS or a GPS and cellular option for the aluminum case. The stainless are only offered in the GPS and cellular version. So what does the Series 4 bring that's new? A redesigned case, now 40mm and 44mm, an electrical heart sensor, a re-engineered digital crown with haptic feedback, and a couple new watch faces and complications. If you've had an Apple Watch before, as soon as you put on the new Series 4 and look at the brand new screen, the smaller bezels and the larger screen are going to make your old watch look like a toy. It looks way better. Similar to what Apple did with the iPhones, the rounded corners help to push the screen as close to the edge as possible. Apple increased the sizes to 40mm and 44mm. If you had an Apple Watch before, the 38mm bands will work on the new 40mm watch. Same for the 42 to 44. This is nice for those of you that have a lot invested in watch bands. The Series 4 also is about 0.7mm thinner than the Series 3. While it may not seem like much, I think it is definitely noticeable when sitting on your wrist. It just doesn't look as bulky. Also this year, Apple re-engineered the digital crown and they added haptic feedback. The click feeling you get when scrolling around on the watch is a really nice touch. It's one of those things that once you get used to, you can't go back to not having it. They also added a titanium electrode, which allows you to use the ECG or EKG app. A few other changes to note: the side button is now flush with the case and the microphone has been moved to the crown side to make room for the larger speaker and also help with any speaker and microphone interference. Other than that, it seems like the rest of the hardware has finally been figured out. Everything is fast and smooth, and the battery makes it through the day without issue. You may even be able to get 2 days out of it. I think because of this, Apple should allow you to decide if you want an always-on watch face. I think this could be really nice because there are still times when the watch doesn't really realize that I'm trying to see the time, and then you really have to emphasize the wrist motion to get the screen to wake. So as I mentioned, there's a new ECG or EKG app. I haven't been able to test this yet because the feature is supposed to be released later this year, but essentially the back of the new watch that sits on your wrist, and then when you touch the digital crown, will enable the watch to read your heart's electrical signals. Apple says then the Apple Watch will be able to indicate whether your heart shows signs of atrial fibrillation, which is an abnormal heart rhythm. How well this feature works is yet to be determined, but I think this could turn out to be a really big deal. If anything, it may help to make you aware to a potential issue, which you can then seek out an actual diagnosis from a doctor. With the new screen sizes, there's more real estate to take advantage of. On Series 4, Apple introduced a bunch of new watch faces. A new fire and water face, liquid metal, vapor, infograph modular, and infograph. The infograph face features some new complication styles in the corners and also subdials in the center. In photos, I really loved the look of this watch face, but I find it actually really hard to read anything on this face, especially when you have all of the complications shown. Even when you clear out some of the complications, it still seems hard to quickly check the time. If there's one area Apple needs to focus on for next year, it is the watch faces. In reality, I only like 2 of the available watch faces, these being the utility face and the solar face. Many of them look cool like the infograph faces, but they're just hard to actually read the time. The rest I find them to be just ugly. I don't understand why Apple changed the corner complications on the faces, like the utility face, to round around the watch indices. It just looks bad and makes it harder to read. The majority of the time, I actually just have a plain watch face without any complications because I find this to be the most pleasing to look at. I also think Apple really needs to make a Siri complication that can show me everything that the Siri watch face shows, but just on the other faces. It'd be really awesome to have that complication up in the corner, and if I have a timer going, it would show me the timer. And maybe if one of my favorite sports teams is playing, then it would show me the score of that game. The information on the Siri watch face is usually really great, but I think the face itself doesn't look that good. The other obvious thing Apple could do is allow third-party watch faces. I don't know if they haven't gotten to it yet, or if they're just not planning on allowing them, but I hope this is something for next year. This could really open up the Apple Watch and allow you to personalize it even more, especially as the watch gains in popularity. Since the Apple Watch came out, I've owned the Series 0, so the first iteration of the watch, the Series 3, and now the Series 4. I think it's really cool how focused Apple has become on the device. The first watch was kind of a mess, and they were trying to do anything they could just to see what worked. But now it seems like Apple has figured out what they want to do with the device. I really like the focus on health, and the hardware seems to have hit its stride. Everything runs really smooth and the battery lasts all day with no issues. The Apple Watch has easily become one of my favorite devices made by Apple.